What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today, we're going to go through another banging build for y'all with the new On the Prowl aspect that comes with our Void subclass. So we're going to be going invisible a bunch, using our Gyrfalcon's Hauberk, our nice chest piece with the perk right here, See Me and Feel Me. Your Void weapons gain volatile rounds after we emerge from being invisible. When you are invisible and defeat a combatant using a finisher, all of our weapons gain bonus damage, and our nearby allies and us gain reserve overshields, improving class ability regeneration, and these reserved overshields can be deployed by using our class ability. So nice little damage resistance, if you will. We're getting volatility on this build, finishers, everything like that, and it pairs with On the Prowl, which is leaving a bunch of weakening smokes around, allowing us to go invisible in a bunch of different ways. So get ready for some nice smooth invisibility gameplay that can take you through really any type of content. The Night Stalker subclass right here, I personally went with Mobius Quiver as our super, but you could go with Deadfall if you wanted. Totally up to you. Marksman's Dodge with the triple jump is what I go with our Snare Bomb, as well as our Vortex Grenade. Grenade you can really throw on whatever you think is best. Now we are going to be using that new aspect that we got in Heresy here with On the Prowl. So entering invisibility marks nearby combatants as a priority target for us and our teammates. That's going to be that like little red X or red kind of circle square around an enemy. Defeating that priority target creates a weakening cloud of smoke that makes us and our allies invisible when we pass through it, which will help with that nice beautiful Gyrfalcon's Hauberk, producing even more volatility. When that priority target is defeated, we also gain increased reload speed, stability for a short duration, and gain grenade, melee, and class ability energy. So kind of disgusting little void aspect that we got here. Does a bunch of different things. We're going to get back our abilities very quickly, and with that doing finishers, we're going to be able to deploy our nice little overshield that we got because of our Gyrfalcon's Hauberk. Now in addition to that, we're going to be using Stylish Executioner, so defeating weakened, suppressed, or volatile targets grants us that invisibility and true sight. After performing a Stylish Execution, our next melee attack also weakens targets, so we're getting awakening effects because of our prowl, because of our melee right here, and then on top of that we're going invisibility, volatility like crazy because of Stylish Executioner. When we move on to our fragments, we got Echo of Persistence, so our void ability or our invisibility is going to last longer, as well as overshield and devour. We got ourselves expulsion, so void ability final blows cause targets to explode in a nice big ol' void explosion. Echo of Harvest, defeating weakened targets grants us orbs of power and void breaches. Void breaches is going to give us class ability energy, so nice little aspect to get our class ability and dodge even more often. Echo of Starvation, picking up any of those void breaches or orbs of power is going to give us to devour, which will last even longer because of persistence up there. And then last but certainly not least, we got Echo of Obscurity, so finisher final blows also grant us invisibility, which ties right back into the Gyrfalcon's Hauberk, which doing those finishers while invisible is going to grant us that overshield, weapon damage, etc. With it, we're going to do a lot of weakening because of On the Prowl, especially if it's that high priority target. With Stylish Executioner, we're going to go invisible a bunch more and get even more weakening, I should say. So the abilities on this is kind of disgusting. Very good build in my personal opinion, especially if it's working correctly. Like if you are always defeating that high priority targets. Sometimes I will say in that endgame content, GM stuff like that might get a little bit hectic, so not all the time are you going to specifically get On the Prowl to proc, but it's going to happen innately a bunch, and in general we're getting a bunch of weakening and volatility in general with this build, and On the Prowl is just a little cherry on top. As for the mods and stats that I went on with this bad boy, I went with Resilience at our number 1, Discipline at our number 2, a know these stats kind of suck, but my Hunter is definitely my least charged up person, or least character that I use because of everything that we got going on our other two characters. I don't know why Hunter's just not my go-to, but it has very good potential for sure, so try to farm some more armor to make these stats better. But when we move on to our mods, I'm going to go with Harmonic Siphon, Kinetic Siphon on this, so Void and Kinetic weapons are going to create Orbs of Power for us, with Heavy Ammo Finder, so we can keep up our heavy damage ASAP and all the time. This, and this. These are going to be all of our nice internal feedback loops, so getting our melee and grenade back when we do damage with the opposite one, as well as our class ability when doing damage with our grenades. So little internal feedback loop again on our chest piece right here, with all of that we got going on. The invisibility, volatility, weakening, damage aspects, and finishers, pretty disgusting. Plus we got our resistances on depending on the activity that you are going into, which again, final finishers right here is going to give us a good little bit of ammo when we get those 3 stacks of armor, which is pretty easy because we're creating Orbs of Power with Reaper, both Kinetic and Harmonic Siphon. And then also when we dodge, we're going to get all of those Orbs of Power to collect to us because of this right here, with Recuperation, Orbs of Restoration, and Absolution. When we collect all those Orbs of Power, we're going to get back some of our abilities, as well as Recuperation, which is going to give us our health. So internal feedback loop for giving us our abilities back between our arms and our boots right here, with ammo being spread with our finishers, as well as Heavy Ammo Finder up here. The weapons that we are going to be using on this bad boy is the Bastion to stun our unstoppable champions, and that Kinetic Siphon. Definitely pulled this out of the vault for this episode right here. I do love this thing. Was a PvP go-to for me. I think I have probably the most defeats and trials with this bad boy. Don't judge me. Was a time I was playing on console. Not that that's an excuse, but you know what I mean. Just, I was a little like, just starting out. I was a little guardian. I was the fresh light, new light, whatever you want to call it. We're going to go with the Doom of Chelsius as well right here, with Firefly, Dragonfly. This is going to be used for that volatility that we're talking about. Plus, when we come out of that invisibility and volatile rounds, we're going to be able to stun barrier champions with this bad boy. Last but not least, we got Retrofit Escapade, 4th times the charm, with target lock. That's going to do a good little bit of damage. Plus, right here, we're going to have that overload on this machine gun, so all of our champions are going to be able to be stunned with this build. And last but certainly not least, we got ourselves the old Tablet of Ruin right here. We got ourselves Unstoppable Fusion, Overload Machine Gun with Piercing Sidearms. Then I'm going to be using Deep Alchemy. Nothing that really matters for this, but we're going to be using a Volatile Marksman, which those rapid precision hits or final blows grants us even more volatility, besides the Gyrfalcon's Hauberk coming out of invisibility, stuff like that. It's going to just add to the potential of this build. Hold the line. All those defeats that we get with our LMG is going to give us reload stability and heal us a little bit. King's Vestige, defeating those powerful Taken, loads us with that Taken energy, which can stun overload champions, disrupt, and exhaust them. With Disruptor Spike, that exhaust sever also lower the damage output of targets, so plays back into our King's Vestige. On all of those finishers that we're going to be doing, with going invisible, becoming invisible, giving ourselves that damage, etc., gonna get our Dreadful finisher to give us even more of that special ammo compared to what we would just get if we were doing it based on our class item and that special ammo finisher. Malignant Harvest, applying volatility, causes our next instance of Void to also create a weakening burst, which will play right back into Stylus Executioner, play right back into Gyrfalcon's Hauberk, play right back to On the Prowl, just everything like that. So this artifact is obviously juiced for Arc and Void. Void Flux in the last column here with Particle Reconstruction, so dealing sustained damage with that fusion rifle in the Bastion is going to refill the magazine and grant bonus damage for a short period of time. Void Flux, all of that weakening that we're getting with On the Prowl, our melee Stylus Executioner, as well as Malignant Harvest. Defeating those applies a volatility to nearby targets, and powerful targets increase that radius of explosions. So you can see why we have so much volatility, so much weakening. On the Prowl is procced almost consistently with this build, as well as the invisibility weakening that we got going on. Absolutely disgusting because of Gyrfalcon's Hunter. We went through this week's Nightfall, that hypercurrent netscape, whatever it's called, pretty easily. Like I said, sometimes if the On the Prowl doesn't get procced, it's just because there's a lot going on, but innately it's going to get procced a decent amount just because you're getting defeats, you're defeating those high priority targets. It's going to give you a weakening burst from the smokes, you're going to go invisible, then your Gyrfalcons is going to get procced with Volatility, leading to more weakening, leading to more On the Prowl. So you can just see the internal feedback of this build, being able to spam super, abilities, everything like that, go invisible consistently and have that up almost all the time in my personal opinion because of the volatility that we're getting on this build and Gyrfalcon's Hauberk. So definitely try this build out. Pretty easy for GMs, especially with that new On the Prowl and weakening targets, etc. So appreciate you guys a bunch. Don't be afraid to like and subscribe. Hit that bell if you haven't. It means a lot to me, means a lot to the channel, and you guys will get all the notifications for builds like this, god roll guides, etc. And nice episode 2, or act 2 I should say, of Heresy is starting very soon, so be on the lookout for all that new content coming out. Not that it's going to be too crazy much, but definitely some new weapons. We're going to be able to actually raise up our rank with I guess it would be Eris's room in there and running the nether stuff, so just be on the lookout for that. But appreciate all you guys again. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.